Occurred, September 18, 2019, 4 o'clock location. Near Pittsburgh. In shape, circle duration. Approximately 5 seconds characteristics. I had just left Love's truck stop off of exit 61 in Pittsburgh, Indiana, on I-74 heading west. Once I got a few miles down the road, somewhere near mile marker 50, I saw a round ball of light racing down from the sky. I thought it may have been a shooting star, except it made a slight turn to the right and shut its light off. There was nothing obstructing my view and it simply vanished.
Occurred, August 15, 2005, 4 o'clock location. Plainfield. In shape, other duration. 20 minutes. In August 2005 I seen 3 non-human humanoid entities. In May of 2005, one of my 2 older sisters had just got her first house and wanted me to move in with her for a while to help with money and just to keep her company. So, I moved out of my parents' house and started living with her just right on the other side of town. It is a regular suburban neighborhood with plenty of street lights, porch lights, and those lights above your garage, just to let you know. Just east of Plainfield is Indianapolis and just west is plenty of nothing. Just a bunch of fields basically and Highway 40. I have always been interested in UFOs and ETs since I was probably about 6 years old. Because around the age of 6, me and my family, me, mom, dad, and my 2 older sisters moved into a really big, really old-looking house in Russellville, the county just west of this. There were these really old and dusty and stinky books on UFOs and aliens in the house when we moved in. And that is where my interest in it all began. But anyway, so I was living with my sister and I liked it, it was fun. I can't remember the exact night it was, but it was around the middle of August of 2005, and I'm pretty sure it was a Friday night. I was doing what I always did there on a Friday night, just staying up late watching TV. One of my favorite movies came on at 2:30 and it was due to go off at 4:10. So I watched the movie all the way through, and at the end of the movie, during all the credits, I got up and stretched and yawned and all that good stuff, and peeked out my window for no reason really. The exact second I peeked out the blinds, I could see 3 entities walking across the street under a streetlight staring at me, like they knew I was going to look out the window at that exact second. They did not stop and stare at me, they kept on walking and looked at me while they were walking. There were 2 taller ones and 1 shorter one. They walked very strangely, kind of like zombies, with their backs bent way down low, and their arms just dangling, long limbs, and their heads were just dangling as well but cocked a little to look at me. The heads were slightly larger than human but not much. And they were not walking side by side, they were walking back to back with the short one in the middle. Because of the lighting or whatever I could not tell what color they were. They just looked black even right under the street light, and I couldn't see the eyes either. Basically I could just see the outline of them, but that I could make out quite clearly. So I'm up in my room looking at them and they are looking at me and I'm looking at them and they are looking at me until I couldn't see them anymore because I lost sight of them behind the houses, I guess. So, the next thing I did was take my hand off the blinds, take a step back, put my hands on my head and said, "What do I do now?" And as soon as I said that I slowly fell to the floor. I could not use my legs at all, and my heart was beating very fast. And while I was on the floor in panic I could smell something that I can only describe as insanity, but not like an odor in the room but rather way up in my nose. I crawled to my recliner cause I did not have a bed. That's what I slept in every night, and I lied there in panic, still unable to use my legs and my heart racing. I have never had a harder time trying to keep my eyes open, but I was afraid to fall asleep. While I'm lying there I reached for my cell phone. I thought about calling my other sister who lives in the same neighborhood. I even thought about calling 911 or screaming so my sister in bed could hear me. Fortunately, I was able to maintain my composure and just sit there and suffer through it and wait it out. Eventually after about 20 minutes my heart slowed back down to normal speed, and I could slowly but surely walk again, and open my freaking eyelids. I was just glad to be okay. I soon fell asleep. I woke up the next morning fine for the most part. I've been thinking about that night ever since. The anxiety of the experience is long gone by now, however I still think about it. To be honest, I think about it and them all the time. I don't know why the hell that happened, but it did. Sometimes I think that I was not supposed to see them, but I did, and maybe they demobilized my legs so I could not run outside and get a closer look or something. I really don't know, all I know is what I saw. I've told my experience to one very well-known website. I've never heard back from them. I think they think I'm joking, but I'm not. Thank you.
Occurred, the 2nd of December 2008, 1900 location, Plainfield, in shape, light duration, 5 minutes characteristics. There were lights on the object, 2 bright lights in the sky. I can't be certain of the exact time. My camera says 4:10 p.m., but I know that is not accurate. My best guess is that it was around 7 p.m., but could have been later. I walked out onto the front porch to plug in the Christmas lights and looked up at the moon when I noticed 2 very bright white lights to the left of the moon. They were brighter than the stars around them and looked like lights on airplanes as they approached the airport, which is near our house, or even like low-flying helicopters. The only difference is that they did not budge at all, and they were not accompanied by the red and blue flashing lights that are visible on aircraft, especially on aircraft that are flying directly at you, which these would have had to have been because of the visibility of their headlights. Let me stress again that they did not seem to be moving at all. I called my 17-year-old daughter out to look at them and then called out my husband, who stated that they were probably planets. The only problem with his theory is that they seem to be very similar in brightness and size, which doesn't bode well for the planet theory. And frankly, they were just too bright. I've viewed planets before while taking astronomy in college. My husband went back inside to watch TV and my daughter and I snapped a couple of pictures with my camera but gave up after feeling like we couldn't get a successful shot. We went inside, reluctantly accepting my husband's planet theory. When I went back out several hours later to unplug the Christmas lights, the planets were not visible anywhere in the night sky. Today I was watching a UFO show on television and decided to go ahead and report my sighting. The only thing I know is that I can't identify what I saw.
Occurred, September 14, 2014, 0:45 location, Plainfield, in shape, flash duration, 2 seconds characteristics. There was an aura or haze around the object. The object made a sound big blue flash in the sky at 1:45 a.m. only 2 seconds long. I was walking down my street at around 1:45 and then out of now where a huge blue flash in the sky appeared, and my friend and I had just enough time to look up to see a blue object on the sky. As soon as we looked up, it disappeared. It was in the north of the sky, pretty high up there. I don't know the exact height, but it was on a cloudy night.
Occurred, December 20th, 2014, 2300 location, Belleville, in shape, cigar duration, few minutes characteristics, cigar-shaped craft with pulsating red and green chevron lights hovering over tree line in Belleville, Indiana. I had just left Greencastle, Indiana, when I had just entered the Hendricks County line. Approximately 3 minutes away from Belleville, Indiana, I was driving my car on US Highway 40. I looked up to see a bright star in the right of my windshield, and to the right, I saw a red-green light. At first glance it looked like a radio tower, so I thought nothing of it. As I tried to focus in on the object, while also trying to maintain position on the road, I realized that there was no radio tower in that area, nor would a radio tower reach a couple hundred feet above the tree line. I began to slow down my car so I could focus in on the object more. Considering I was the only one on the road for a little ways, I slowed down to around 20 miles per hour. When I looked into my upper left-hand side, I saw what seemed to be a blackened cigar-shaped craft, with pulsing chevron red and green lights. It looked like the lights were on a conveyor belt, basically rotating around the craft. Featuring as I began to speed back up, the craft disappeared. I tried to rule out, though I am not denying the fact that it is a possibility that this craft was in fact a helicopter, plane, or other perfectly normal object. However, there were no blinking lights like a plane, nor would a plane hover in the same spot for a few minutes. A helicopter could hover, however I would have assumed I would have heard some bit of noise. Not here, it was silent.
Occurred, the 6th of November 2012, 2200 location, Indianapolis, in shape, circle duration, 15 minutes characteristics. There were lights on the object, there were aircraft in the vicinity or aircraft chasing the object. My son, a neighbor and I saw a stretched out string of about 15 orange lights flying from south to north over Indianapolis near Canby. They were silent, and when the objects were north of us, we couldn't see the lights anymore, just a black orb. It appeared they were flying at a fairly low altitude, about the speed of a propeller plane. There was a helicopter flying in the same direction, lower than the lights. We also saw these lights Sunday night, May 20, 2012.